Welcome to The Road Less Traveled, where I talk about every topic that has ever roamed my mind and has led me to this very moment today. Please join me. I never understood why people had to have collections of certain items or things that they liked. I liked things, but people always gave them to me, so that's how I ended up having collectibles of things. And I'm like, this is interesting. The first time that I've ever had an experience with being obsessed is watching Harry Potter. I have been watching Harry Potter for I don't know how long, years. And somebody would tell me oh, I hate Harry Potter. It's for kids. Maybe you should probably watch it so you can tap into your childlike self. Hello. Get off me and go somewhere else with your little negativity, because this is not here that we're going to do this. But in this episode, I am going to be unpacking Harry Potter's analysis, because this is kind of how I see magic and the elements of magic and how much it takes to be unified in your own body and love yourself and come out stronger, and that's who Harry is. So I'm going to try to break it down and not bore you. But if you do not want to hear about Harry Potter and all my fascinations, then you don't gotta listen. So let me introduce my version of the movie analysis now. It's a reflection of my real life experience, even though it's filled with magic. The connotation around magic is foreign. We don't believe in it. We don't think it exists. We watch fairy tales every single day. We don't think that magic is possible because of how it's shown to us. But that's actually wrong, because we're only seeing what we want to see, and we're not trying to see it through a different point of view. At the beginning of the movie, Harry was confined under a staircase. He was blindfolded. Not literally, but if you catch my drift. He only knew of hate and disrespect. How willing was he to be patient around the walls of his imprisonment, or in this case, let's just say the walls he knew of under the staircase or in his cousin's second bedroom, which was protection for him, not something to shield him out. So that's the first lesson. The only reason I say this is because his false family might have thought they confined him, because in that place he grew to know, he got to know himself, and they didn't know that was going to happen. They actually tried to stop it with all odds. He knew he had a gift, or multiple gifts, he could not explain. One where he appreciated the sacredness of what people have denied. For example, the snake. They're scared of snakes. The snakes are so spooky. Also wanted to add that the snake is a representation of all things old and being renewed to only being captivated into a new cycle or being. So we're in the year of the snake, thank goodness. Not appreciating the snake's presence and thinking that they ruled over it, instead of realizing that they were both the same, him and the snake. Harry knew that, which is why he was able to talk to the snake. He had an appreciation of what people deem vile and sinister. They caged it, but he set it free. Then let's talk about the owl sending messages to Harry, letting him know, "You have a gift. It's time to become witness to who you truly are." Only Harry thought this gift was the actual mail from Hogwarts, when the gift was actually to free himself from limitations that were casted on him as a child, and being able to deliver that same gift of freedom for decades and centuries to come. Hence the end of the movie when he had the kids and all the good stuff, blah blah, family, love it. Okay, the owl was a representation of his eyes, which led him on. They could see what he was not willing to see in his human form. Now, what are the limitations, you might ask? The limitation is his overall fear to be set free and living out his fullest potential, despite what he has always heard. He met his fear that he had to face. It left a mark on him to represent the battle. It was his overall darkness that he never got to get friendly with and understand. Now, I mentioned this in 2 episodes ago about being friends with your darkness, and this is where I got it from. You thought I was going to say beat or win against the darkness. Well, not quite. He had to understand his darkness in order to appreciate that it served a purpose on his journey and that they were best friends. Harry felt like it always followed him and that they were the same, aka the scar on his forehead. That they came to know each other before his first day at Hogwarts. And he was right. Well, what we like to call a curse is actually a gift to be friends with your darkness. And I think that we should learn a lot from watching this movie, and you probably should watch it if you haven't. When you spend all your time appreciating your light, you forget to appreciate what gets crafted in the dark. Since he had no understanding of that concept, he used his imagination and crafted his version of his inner shadow, aka Voldemort. Now, you don't have to believe that, but that's what I came to conclude. People were even afraid that if he got acquainted with his darkness, that they would have to get to know theirs, which is why everyone was so fascinated with his story. He was going to be known as the boy who lived, aka free from limitations and restrictions placed on him as a child. Moving on, he starts his journey at Hogwarts, the place where there were people who were eventually going to be faced with their darkness. But first, he had to show them how to properly succeed. Throughout the movies, he got to know his family, people who had ambition and genuine care for those around them. Of course, I think that all these people he met, Hagrid, the other professors, and his friends, were all different versions of him that he could embody at any given time. He could use the sharp intellect and courage of his friends Hermione and Ron, aka himself, he started to get to know. Did I say It's fine. Not saying that they did not have their personalities in the stories and movies, that they weren't their own individual people, but they are a reflection of him. But I think overall, Hogwarts represented Harry's mind and all the wisdom kept beneath every new door he opened in the movie, aka the changing of the staircase that foreshadowed the different paths his life took before he was on his final test. In spirituality, I associate the different paintings on the wall as his past life endeavors he thought he had forgotten, and every door led him down a whole new adventure. He pushed through his fears each time, and he encountered people, other versions of himself, along this journey that he did not want to be, aka Draco Malfoy. Malfoy could have just been a person energy that was sent in his mind to distract him and also send him on different paths that evidently led him to the right people still who were going to help him sustain and capture his light so he could understand why he was afraid of himself. Why do you think Voldemort tried so hard to return? Harry was getting stronger on his path and learning the beauty of self-discovery, his inner abundance. The darkness, of course, did not respect it and did not get respect itself because of societal pressures that show up when we operate in our darkness and do not gain control and balance over it. The part when he started to let it consume him instead of setting it free, the Tent and Deathly Hallows Part 1, keeping those memories of the past in a place in our mind that we learn to hate. We learn to hate the people who inflicted their pain onto us, shamed us, and judged us, only to learn that they just wanted to learn from us. And I know I've mentioned this multiple times, but it keeps showing up, right? But we're not ready to fully pursue that inner desire, so they make the happy person unhappy so that they can think they are gaining happiness. The only choice they had was to wish nothing but harm because we were not allowed to save them until we learn to save ourselves. So that concept comes up multiple times, right? Furthermore, Harry had witnesses all around him, helping him embody his full character that he was always meant to be, and people admired him. He had protection, love all around him to help him succeed. He cherished these people because they reflected his heart. They showered him with gifts that helped him. The first one was to gain perseverance, which I think was the broom. Protecting his heart and love within was definitely the cloak, so that he could understand things without even being present in those rooms, surrounded by those people yet. And he got insight into these things. And I don't really think that he was in those rooms, but in the movie he shows up as secretly being in those conversations. And I think that overall his energy was in those conversations, not his physical body. He was gaining insight into information that would help him succeed and was guided to those parts of his memory that led him back to the void of his past. He was showered with the wisdom, aka the library books. Thank gosh for books to progress his neurological pathways of his brain to unlock some wisdom that he had buried. He was even gifted with the chance to be helped by his ancestors, the Resurrection Stone. But again, this was a power gifted within, not a physical object. as were the broom, cloak, and the wands, which represented his newfound energetic currents flowing through his body that projected onto anything that needed to be balanced with light, aka his doppelganger. Voldemort was like the twin Harry crafted to better get to know a lower version of himself in order to fully embrace his greatest potential. Again, being known for both of those versions within and to not judge who we once were. I very much appreciate that in the end, because of course, Voldemort's energy that always resided in Harry did not die, but he did gain control and could decide that he wanted to live a life with a new version of Harry he got to know, and use his old life, which embodied Voldemort, as a token to help other people capture their highest potential and get to know all the great qualities of their dark side they no longer wanted to identify with. He found love in all things, and no matter the emotions he carried, he could choose whether or not to put them to rest and live his life fully, only to grow and expand. Then he would understand all of his extraordinary gifts that showered him, the flying mail and the different pathways of his home within him, until he listened to his own heart. What lengths would he travel to gain true inner freedom and be a part of a new generation of keepers and guides of living in our truth for the rest of our lives? Only then would be when we would be able to live free with all that was always beautiful, but was shadowed by expectations and deep-rooted fears. Harry knew that it takes someone willing. I'll catch you in the next one.